Hello, welcome back to our part 2 episode for Muse After Hours.
Yes, welcome. We are so excited to kind of continue the story of how Cyann came into the picture of Muse. So let's start off, Cyann, with you just kind of giving us your history inside of how you even got into the industry, and we'll just go from there.
All right, so I started beauty school in 2016, and I went to the Aveda School in Seattle, which I really loved because, as we've kind of talked about on our Instagram, just the products that we're drawn to are very like natural and try to be like as clean as possible. And so that's why I was drawn to Aveda for that very same reason. So ever since I started doing hair, I've always been drawn to trying to be more environmentally friendly and just more natural and like health conscious with products. So I started at Aveda. And from there, I started at a salon in Tacoma, and I was there for just a little bit, but and I was doing everything there. I was doing kids cuts, men's cuts, colors, everything except extensions. I was not doing extensions because, similar to you that we talked about last time, I just thought all extensions were bad. Like I could just spot them on the street and I'd be like, "Oh, those are bad extensions." And like I never wanted to do anything that I wasn't like 100% proud of walking out of the door. So if I didn't feel confident with doing extensions and didn't think they could look good, then I just wasn't going to do them. So that's kind of my background and my thoughts on extensions. So I just never did them.
So totally similar to me. That's why I didn't do them either. Like they caused problems. They were not natural looking. It was just like off the table. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I didn't want my name attached to extensions.
Yeah, and I think that probably comes from like the fact that both of us care so much about the health of the hair and being super natural and just conscientious of products. Like I think we both had that same mindset like separately before we even knew each other.
Yeah, it's very true, which is, we'll get into it, but one of the reasons I was drawn to Muse too. So, but anyways, from there, I was then working at a salon in Ellensburg, Washington, which is like a super tiny town, like middle of Washington. It's like a pit stop on your way, like through the state. So that's where Ellensburg is. I was there at a salon and kind of the same thing. I was doing everything and I was working a lot. I was working like 5 to 6 days a week. I was working all day because I moved there because AJ, my husband, he was going to school. And so when I was there, I didn't like have a friend group or like I wasn't established in Ellensburg. And so I figured, well, I'm here. I'm just going to work. And so that's basically all I did. So you can imagine that I started to get pretty burnt out from that. And I started kind of losing my passion for doing hair. And I started to kind of resent what I was doing because like my body hurt. I was tired all the time. It just didn't feel as fun anymore as when I first started doing hair. And then there was this one day that the salon got a call from a client. She wanted to come in and get a blowout and she had extensions and I had an available spot. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take her, whatever. And she came in, she had these extensions that I hadn't ever seen before. And I was asking her all these questions about it, wanting to know like, what is this method? Like, where did you get this done? Like, they just were like unlike anything I'd seen before with extensions. Her like hair, like her scalp health, like was totally amazing. Her hair was pretty short and she had these beautiful long extensions and they were seamless. And the color looked amazing. Like most extensions that I'd seen in the past, like you can always tell because the color like of the root never matches. And so you can always, it's a dead giveaway that they have extensions, but her color, like it totally matched. I was like just in awe. And come to find out, she had seen Julia. And it was just such a weird like coincidence and like connection because
Ellensburg from Olympia is like how many hours?
Like 3 hours, probably 2.5 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
So
because
like they're
like
not
Ellensburg is
close.
like Eastern Washington and Olympia is
Hmm.
in the Pacific Northwest. So like there's really no connection, really.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
nobody goes to Ellensburg. Sorry, Cayenne.
No, nobody goes
Unless you're
there.
going to college.
Unless, yeah, it's like a college town. So no one goes there unless you're going to college or you've lived there your whole life, pretty much. So it was just such a weird coincidence that she had come in. And also, just there was other little coincidences too. Like this particular client, she had grown up or moved to the same neighborhood that I had grown up in, and we went to the same high school, like all these weird little things. But anyways, so I found out she had NBR from Julia. So then I immediately went onto Julia's Instagram and I started stalking her page. And then that's how I found NBR, Natural Beaded Rose. So then I also started stalking their page too. And I discovered their podcast and the education that they had. And so that was just kind of like a seed planted in my brain. And I started to kind of just think about like, like this would be something that I'd be interested in trying out. But I didn't immediately take the jump for it because the education was kind of pricey. And like I said, like my thoughts on extensions were that I just never was going to do them because they just weren't what I want to be offering until I found this. So fast forward a little bit of time and COVID happens and the lockdown. And during that time, it was really difficult for me because I tie so much of who I am into my job and what I do. And so to just have that cut off immediately and not be able to like go to work, it felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt like I kind of like was just lost and I was like, I don't like that was my identity, you know? So I am also a busybody, so I always have to constantly be doing something. I feel like I can't just sit and relax very easily. So I figured out that that would be kind of like the perfect time to just sign up for the education so that I would have something to do during lockdown. And then when I got back into the salon, I could start offering and practicing this method. And so I did, at that time, they had it, you did like 3 months of pre training by yourself, and then you went for your intensive. So I did my 3 months of pre training. I went down to California and did the 2-day in person class. And when I was there, I just was like, I drank the Kool-Aid, as everyone says. And yep, drank the Kool-Aid. I was obsessed and I wanted to only be doing extensions. I didn't want to be doing anything else. I didn't know how I was going to do that because the salon I was at, they didn't have anyone that offered extensions. And so I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but I just knew in my heart that that's what I needed to be doing. And that was the path that I needed to go on. But I was still like obsessed with Muse and I loved the brand of Muse. And at that time, I had been coming to get my hair done because I was also getting married. And so I wanted the extensions for myself. So I had them on my own head and I just was obsessed and I loved it. So right around that same time, Julia was also in California because you were doing your platform artist model.
Yes.
Yeah. So our trips kind of overlapped a little bit. And the last day of my intensive down there, I sent Julia a message on Instagram and I was like, look, we need to talk. Can we talk on the phone? Like, we just need to have a phone call. I just need to talk to you over the phone. And so she ended up calling me. I think you were in the airport, right?
I was. Yeah, I was at the
Yeah.
airport. I had like this tiny little window of time and it was just funny because yeah, we were like ships in the night. I think you probably had just gotten home and I
Yeah.
was just leaving California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Julie calls me in the airport and basically I just told her like, I want to be at Muse. I want to only be doing extensions. Like, tell me what I have to do and I'll do it.
Yep.
So that's pretty much what happened. I mean, it was kind of also perfect timing because Julia had been working on building out this location here that you see behind me. And they were in a temporary spot and going to be moving into this location and going to be hiring an assistant at that same time. And me and AJ were moving back over here from Ellensburg because he had graduated from school and we wanted to be over here by family again. So there's just so many different situations along this journey that have kind of like just been perfectly laid out. Um, to bring us to where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I would say just to kind of like touch on, like, we obviously have some stuff to get through to you being now the owner of Muse Washington, but Cyann is so much like me, where it's like she put her mind to something and she progressed so fast. So yes, she started off as an assistant, but she really only assisted me for, I think, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it was like 4 months maybe.
Yeah, and she was just on this fast track because she's incredibly detail oriented and incredibly observant. And I've had other people assist me, and they can stand next to me for a year and not catch on the way that Cyann was able to catch on. Like, she would see me put a bead on and she's like, "Oh, that's how you put a bead on." She would see me tie a knot. "Oh, that's how you tie a knot." Like, she was able to consume every little tiny thing I did and then replicate it, which is so difficult. I don't know anybody else that's been able to do that. So anyway, just a little kudos to how she was able to progress so fast. It's just who she is.
Oh, thank you. I think that that's something we can talk about too, because I think it's so important talking about starting off as an assistant, even if you've been doing hair. Because at that point, I'd been doing hair already for like 5 years or something, somewhere around there. And a lot of people, you feel more established and you're like, no, like I'm not going to start over and be an assistant again. But just knowing where I wanted to go, and because you had been doing extensions and MBR for, was it like 4 years at that point now? Or
probably 3.
Okay, so 3 years at that point. So from my perspective, like just knowing, okay, I'm starting over completely new with this new service that I'm going to be offering, like it just made so much sense to assist under you. And even though it felt like starting over in a way, like I wasn't taking my own clients anymore for a while, but it's like that point in my career was so important, because that's what I feel like progressed me so fast too, is being able to just sit and absorb everything that you were doing to be able to implement for my own clients when I was like taking models and everything. So I think that's really important too.
It is. It's very important. In fact, I was even just talking about this yesterday about how when I started inside of NBR, like from the outside looking in, I was at the top of my game. Like in our town, it was like the salon that I owned was the best. I had a waiting list like a mile long of clients that wanted to get into me. I was so busy, I couldn't even see straight. But it wasn't serving me financially or even just in general as far as my happiness inside of my career. So me having this big career, whatever, and being at the top of my game, and had been doing hair for almost 20 years, stepping inside of this whole new world of natural beaded rose, I had to completely take my ego and put it behind me and check it, because I had to learn from people who were way younger than me. They had been in the industry for way less time than me, but they knew more than me when it came to NBR. And so kind of artists in general have egos. We just do. And to be able to check it, to learn something new, it takes a special person. But once you do that, you accelerate at such a fast rate.
It's so true. That's what I tell all of our assistants now too, is that the time when you're assisting is so important. So like really take advantage of it, because the more you soak it in now while you're assisting, like you're going to go so much further when you're taking your own clients. So, and I feel like also Vic, that's why she has progressed so fast too, because she's really good at that too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Vic's a rock star. Okay. So let's kind of get back to your journey. So Cyann started working for Muse. She assisted for 3-4 months. Absolute rock star. We had this massive overflow of clients. So it was like time. It was like, okay, Cyann, like there's no holding you back. Like you have got to start doing this. She was such an incredible artist. One thing about her too is her timing. Oh my gosh. She's like, I don't even know. She's crazy. Like, she's like a
I don't
bullet when
know.
she works. And she doesn't even look like she's working fast. That's the thing. Like, I'll
I'm
be
just in the
like,
zone.
yeah, we'll be like working next to each other and like we'll start a row at the same time. I'm like, I'm gonna beat her. And like I probably look like I am going fast. And
Like
Cayenne's just
things
like
flying everywhere.
Cayenne's just like dancing with her hands and then she's done before everybody else. I don't know what. I don't know what.
I
Whatever.
don't know. It's that laser focus, you know.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's amazing. So anyway, progressing super fast, built her clientele, and the two of us became pretty close because we have very similar mindsets. We're both very driven. We're always like, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
And so here she has this full clientele, and in her mind, she's like, what's next? Like, I love this brand, but like I want more. So how can I do more inside of this brand? And at the same time, that's when I was considering moving.
Yeah.
And again, meant to be, here I am. I'm just going to like kind of interject, sorry, Cyann, and tell a little bit of this story.
Yeah.
Because I was so on the fence about moving. And the reason why was because of Muse. Like that thing, my baby, blood, sweat, tears, the staff there, the clients there, like my heart and my soul. It was like the one thing that was holding us back from moving.
Yeah.
And so Cyann and I went out to dinner one night and she was like, look, like I want more. But I want more inside of this brand. And that was like, we had put like earnest money down on this house right here, this house. And it was 10 grand and it was like enough to where we were like, we were comfortable to walk away if we felt like it wasn't right, but we had to put it down in order to like, you know, secure it.
Yeah. And I think like at that point, like I didn't even know about that. Like I had no idea that you were even like considering leaving and going to Arizona or like about the house or nothing. And so, yeah, we went to dinner and I was like, I was so nervous to bring it up too. But I brought it up and I was like, I love Muse. I want to stay with Muse, but I just know I'm going to get to this point where like, I want to be more than a stylist and like, I want to be able to do more and like have these bigger goals, but I don't want to leave Muse to do that. So yeah, that's when I brought that up and I had no idea about Arizona at all.
No. And so at that point I was like praying so much. Like I am a very faithful person and I really do my best to take my guidance from God. And I was like, please, like give me signs, open the doors that need to be open, close the doors that need to be closed. And so many things were happening inside of that time where the doors were just open. And so when Cyann brought this to me, I was like, okay, this is like everything I needed to hear. This is obviously supposed to happen. And so that's when I put Cyann in the role as manager, as kind of a stepping stone to what eventually would be.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, so when I brought that up at dinner, I think, because I remember telling you, like, I have this crazy idea. I don't know what you're going to think about it. But I think at that point is when I first brought up the whole like vision of like, I eventually want to be your business partner, but I didn't know like the path to get there because obviously like I'd never owned a business at that point. I'd never even been a manager anywhere. So I was just like, I had no experience within like leading a team really, or like any sort of role like that. So yeah, at that point when I became manager, I feel like I really like I loved it a lot more than I thought I was going to, because I remember it was probably the year before that. We always have meetings at the beginning of the year to kind of goal set and like plan for the future and what we want to do. And Julia had asked me something about like, I can't remember what you asked me, but it was basically about like, would you ever want to like be in more of like a leadership role or something like that? And I was like, absolutely not. No, I don't want to have to like manage people. I was just totally against it at that point.
No.
I was like,
no.
no.
And so that's
So
why I thought it would never, ever turn into this. So I
yeah.
kind of written that off because at that point we were
Mhm.
thinking about moving. And so that's why I was asking you those questions. So
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, well,
It was like,
that's
oh,
not going to
great.
happen.
There goes that. But I don't know. I think I just had to like sit with it. Like I had to come to it myself and like think, like realize like it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And now I know that I love it. So yeah, I loved being a manager and just stepping in more into a role because at that point you had started traveling a lot more. And so I was here with Vic while she was starting to go through the academy and kind of start to grow more. And so it was that's kind of when I realized how much I liked more of like leading a team and kind of being there to like mentor um, Vic. And so I really enjoyed being manager. And then that was kind of the stepping stone to where we are now, because obviously being business owner, salon owner, like you have to, that's role, that's just like you're the only person doing that, you know, you can't, you have to like really be solid in that role. So I feel like that was the perfect stepping stone to be where I am now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we weren't really sure what that path was going to look like. I
Yeah.
knew that was like Cayenne's intention eventually. And so with me traveling back and forth the amount that I was and the toll it was taking on my family, I was like, and I felt like Cyann had made such a connection to with Vic, and she was doing such a good job leading the team and like really like bolstering that location, that at that point I felt like, okay, the way I see this going is like Cayenne gets Washington, I get Arizona, but then we partner to uphold the brand of Muse and also create, because we had
Mm-hmm.
been talking about creating for
Oh,
so
yeah.
long,
Yeah.
like all of these big dreams.
Even before any of those conversations, like would talk about, oh, we should create this, and oh, we should do this for Muse, and oh, our clients would love if we had this. Like we've always been doing that. And
Oh yeah.
so, yeah, now like when you got to that point and brought that idea to me, because I didn't know how it was going to look either, becoming business partners. Um, but it did get to that point, like you said, where it just made sense. Like you had Arizona, I had Washington, but together we have Muse, and now we're able to create all of these things like this podcast. I mean, we've been talking about doing this podcast for so long.
We
So
have.
now that you're able to focus on Arizona and I can focus on Washington, we have more energy to be able to create stuff like this. And I love it. I'm so happy that we are able to do this.
I know. It's amazing, and the journey has been absolutely incredible, and I feel like as hard as it was for me to like kind of detach as the owner, I felt like, I know so many people are like, well, what do you mean? Like, why would you sell it? Like, you've got like Cayenne running it, she's managing it. And our culture is so different than that. It's not,
Yeah.
it's so personal. And I felt like Muse deserved to have the owner there every single day. The clients deserve that. The staff deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much heart and soul, and like the heartbeat of the owner really should be there. And Cayenne was acting like that. And it was like time for her to get that full benefit of it. And then also us, what, Cayenne had mentioned, having her being able to focus on that, me being able to focus on Arizona, gave us now the bandwidth to create inside of all of these dreams that we have talked about.
Yeah.
Product development, which we have got, I mean, a laundry list of things, because we are extension experts. We do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands, I mean, at this point, of
Yeah.
extension transformations and maintenance. And so we know what works and what doesn't inside of
Mm-hmm.
products, inside of tools. Like
Yeah.
we know all the flaws and what needs to happen to fix them. And so we are so excited to be at this point where we can finally do that, which I think
Yeah.
will elevate the extension industry tremendously.
It will. Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, we've
I'm
already
so
done a
cool.
little sneak peek of our brushes. that we're going to be having. And I mean, we have some other things we've hinted at along the way. So, I mean, we're just getting started.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. So here we are today is January 1st,
Happy New Year's.
2004. And I wrote this post yesterday, and kind of the way that I finished it is that 2023 was a year of change, and it was a lot of change, and it was really, really hard. Like the journey just to get the thing sold and in Cyann's hands was huge. There was so many emotions involved, so many logistics, and it took a long time. And then me having to emotionally let go of it. It was a year of change. So I'm like, 2023 was the year of change. 2024 is the year of growth.
Yes, I agree. That is the perfect way to put it.
Yeah. And so we're ready. We're ready. We were just talking about doing some goal setting and like a little exercise together in order to be able to have a really, really clear picture and clear path of where we're going and what it's going to take to get there. And we're so excited.
We're so excited. Yes,
and
so
I
excited.
Couldn't be more blessed to have Cyann along in this journey with me. It's so much fun, and we can go so much faster together than just sing and just by ourselves.
Doing it by ourselves. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I love you.
I love you. I love you. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Of course, you guys, we are always taking extension guests, and you can find our form to be able to fill out through our website, through our Instagrams. Follow us on Instagram at Muse Extension Lounge, at Cyann.muse, at JuliaWard.muse, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Yeah, stay tuned. We have a special guest next week, and so you won't want to miss it. Bye.
Take care.